Hello everyone, welcome to the channel of MeteoMark Weather. It's great to have you here with me. We are still talking about the tropics. Yeah, Rafael is on its way out. Thankfully, this storm is undergoing wind shear and dry air. The system's not going to make landfall anywhere and become a remnant low within the next day or two. Our next attention is going to turn to the central and western Caribbean, where later this coming weekend into next week, we could be looking at our next tropical storm. We'll take a look at all your tropics and your weather. Let's get into it. And starting off here with the tropics with your European model, and then we'll progress towards the GFS here. Yeah, we're still talking about Rafael here, Tropical Storm Rafael. That system's going to be on its way out over the next couple days. It's going to become a remnant low and pretty much fizzle out here as this area of high pressure to the north here over the United States helps to push this system more south and west as it builds in this blocking high. Now, this system out here towards the Bahamas, very little chance to develop. Our attention's going to turn towards the Caribbean as we head later on towards next weekend into next week. Look at this surge of tropical moisture. We're going to be watching a disturbance kind of form here in the southwestern Caribbean. As we head throughout the week, you can see kind of consolidate its moisture here across Nicaragua and these areas. And then it starts to try to close off some area of low pressure, depending on what model run you're looking at. There has been some indications that there could be some persistent development here. As we head towards the 14th into the 15th, you can see the moisture just consolidating here. You can almost catch out a trough, almost like a front kicking across the north central Caribbean here. That could provide some moisture as well as we head through. Let's just back that up just a hair. 17th into the 18th. Look how persistent these thunderstorms are. This latest version of the European models indicating we could see crossover into Central America, maybe to the Eastern Pacific. But I caution you because this is one of the few model runs, the latest ones indicating this. The rest of them are bringing it up towards parts of the Yucatan or maybe further north here towards Jamaica. So we'll watch it. This is an interesting trend further south here on the European model, but I caution you because there is a very large tropical wave by the 19th moving through the Lesser Antilles. If we can just back this up. Yeah, there's going to be some tremendous rains here from the Virgin Islands all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago, and this is going to be an area we're going to be watching as well. And flipping over to the GFS here, you can see we have a lot to talk about here with respect to the Caribbean. Of course, there's Rafael on its way out. We have Invest 98L. That's going to be kind of a thing of the past here. So our attention turns quickly to the Central Caribbean, just like on the European model here. There's that frontal boundary, the tail end of it anyways, right up across the north central Caribbean islands here. So this is the area we're going to be watching across the southwestern and south central Caribbean here. As we go through the 14th, the 15th, into the 16th, you can see the GFS starting to initialize that area of low pressure just east of Nicaragua and Honduras here. You can see lots of that deep tropical moisture, especially on both sides of this low pressure system. So a broad area of low pressure system developing here. And as we go through the 18th into the 19th, you can see it really starting to take shape here around Honduras and Belize. Torrential rains really starting to kick in the 21st. Now look at this is where things really start to go crazy. So let me just back this up here onto the 20th. You can see there is going to be a big trough kicking across southeast Texas here, and that could be a big player according to the GFS here on our potential system. And then it really starts to develop, it looks like, into a hurricane by the time the 21st comes, right at the time this big trough is kicking across the Western Gulf. So initially, it had it heading west here into the Yucatan and Belize. Now the GFS is increasing the chances that this trough will move faster, dig a little bit further to the south and to the east, and pick up this big area of disturbed weather, potentially a tropical storm or hurricane by this point now. So it's picking it up, heading right towards the Cayman Islands, potentially Jamaica region, up to Cuba. And Florida, you're not completely out of the woods. It all depends on the timing of this frontal boundary trough axis here. And as we go through the 22nd into the 23rd, you can see this run of the GFS has it just missing Florida, but the northwest side clipping south and east Florida here with wind and rain and waves as well. And now look what's happening here on the southern part of this. Another area of low pressure is trying to develop. We also have another tropical wave out here we're going to have to watch. So we're heading out beyond 300 hours here. So now we're really getting in on... take it with a grain of salt. So that potential system rides up the east coast as an extra tropical low, 984 millibars. This would promote some extremely beneficial rain if this were to pan out across the northeast and the eastern mid-Atlantic. So this is something to keep an eye on. Also, another system trying to form here. It looks like another tropical storm in the central Caribbean. This is right around November 23rd here. So that's something we'll have to keep an look at that. Is developing it into a hurricane just southeast of Jamaica here on the 24th. There's that extratropical system winding up what's left of our Caribbean low. And before we continue with more weather coverage here on your tropics and all your weather for North America and the Western Pacific, don't forget if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. Let's continue. So looking on the GFS here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits for our mid-layer and moist air mid-layer analysis here. As we continue through Wednesday into Thursday, there is what the GFS is showing, obviously, in terms of that moisture. Some dry air up here to the north across the Bahamas and the southeastern Gulf, northwest Caribbean. But watch what happens here, what the GFS does with our moisture plume. Yes, we do have this blocking high to the north. That is some great news. So that initially helps force our moisture plume to the westward here towards Nicaragua and Honduras region right in here. But watch this as we go in time. That high pressure lifts to the north. We do see this trough axis. Let's get rid of that, kicking into the northwestern Gulf here. Now, look what starts to happen. This is towards Belize. We got another potential system out here as well we'll be watching. But as we head towards November 21st here, you do start to see this moisture getting all the way up into the eastern and central Gulf. And that's a trend we'll have to watch because this could be indicating that you can see this trough digging in across the Gulf here. This could help steer the storm potentially towards the north and eventually the northeast. So this could have implications not putting the eastern Gulf and Florida, the Bahamas, out of the woods just yet. And here we go. The European model continues to show there's Rafael just literally washing out in the dry air. But there's our next system, the moisture plume across the central and the western Caribbean towards Jamaica as we head into Thursday. So some heavy rain will be picking up across Jamaica here as we continue to go out here in time. Now watch what happens the European model does. That's pretty curious compared to the GFS. So there it is as we continue through Friday into Saturday next weekend. You can see the European keeps a big area of, high pressure dry air across the Gulf and the Bahamas and Florida here. On the Euro, that pushes this system a bit further to the west here, a little bit further south and west of the guidance envelope here. So wind shear here is going to be very lax across the Caribbean. That's why I'm concerned later this week into the weekend. You can see all the big wind shear is up over towards the northwest Caribbean and over the eastern Gulf here and the Bahamas. So that's where we're going to keep most of the wind shear. If this system's able to ride just further to the north, like the GFS is indicating here, and just under that area of the worst wind shear, it could have a window of development. I do caution you, though. Look at this on the GFS. Even though the GFS kind of gets this system caught up here initially, we're still watching this system potentially enter a transition of wind shear. So we could be looking at a tropical system, maybe a tropical storm or hurricane transitioning to something extra tropical if this scenario were to ride out here. And getting into the Caribbean here for your rainfall, tropical rainfall. Yeah, you're going to be looking at increasing rainfall chances. Costa Rica all the way up to Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, Yucatan Peninsula, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. Yeah, look at this. As we head throughout the week into next weekend, into the following week, This is with our potential tropical system. We could be looking at some locations getting up to 150 to 250 millimeters of rainfall here. That's going to be approaching rainfall 5 to maybe as much as 10 inches. Jamaica, you could be approaching 70 to 100 millimeters of rainfall here, as well as the Cayman Islands. So watch out. This could be a rainy forecast period as we head later on this week, next weekend, into the third week of November. And the Eastern Caribbean here, if we look, there's that tropical wave trying to develop as we move in time, and another one moving in as well as we head through November 20th. So yeah, the Eastern Caribbean islands in particular, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Lesser Antilles, all the way down the island change to Trinidad and Tobago, we could be seeing as much as 90 to 125 millimeters of rainfall. That's where we're getting into the 3 to 6 inch rainfall amounts. And looking at the Western Pacific here, we are unfortunately, look at this, looking at another typhoon for the northern Philippines, Typhoon Toraji here. This system, following on the heels of Typhoon Yingjing here, this is not good news. This is really bad. If we watch this bear down on the northern Philippines here, this is horrible. This is towards the 11th, so we're getting into Monday already. And yeah, it's not going to become a major typhoon, 100-mile-an-hour winds, but still, this is following on a major typhoon that bared down on the northern Philippines just last week, so they don't need any more. And we got another system out here we're watching, Typhoon Manyi here. This system's going to be affecting the northern Mariana Islands here. And as we continue, we're going to be watching Yingjing move right towards southern Vietnam. Thankfully, it will weaken as it heads towards Vietnam, but it's going to be a big rainmaker. This next typhoon, it looks like it's going to head towards the South China Sea and Hong Kong region. And unfortunately, look at following right on its heels here, we have another tropical potential typhoon towards later on this week that could clip the northern Philippines and just swing off just east of Taiwan here and then kind of stall. So you can see this time of year, the Japanese islands, South Korea, Shanghai, they're pretty well protected. You got these synoptic systems plowing through, maybe some rain up towards South Korea, Seoul, and Tokyo, Japan as well, Osaka. But look at that. By later on in the week into the following week, the third week of November, things get really clear up here. And as we go out here for our precipitation amounts in the Western Pacific, yeah, with those typhoon threats, the northern Philippines continue to get inundated. Talking about 250 to 350 millimeters of rainfall here. This is getting dangerous. We're getting up towards that 6, 7, 8, maybe as high as 12 inches in some of these locations, plus maybe 14, 15 inches. This is not good news. Vietnam also getting in on the act, not as heavy though, towards 100 millimeters, up towards 3.5, 4 inches. And then here off the Southeast Asian coastline here, towards some of the southern Japanese islands, we could be getting as high as 150, 250 millimeters of rain, getting you up towards 5 to 8 inches. And our future radar, as we continue through the rest of our Sunday here, yeah, it's going to be a rainy time of it with this frontal boundary pushing through. You can see as we head throughout the afternoon into the evening hours, that rainfall starting to clear eastern Ohio here. It's been a really rainy day. Storms all the way down to the Gulf Coast here with Rafael, which I'm going to touch on momentarily here on our future radar. But look at this. Lots of rain pushing into the northeast. This is what we really need right now. It's been so bone dry, so some of these yellows and oranges and even the darker greens are very welcome as this frontal boundary pushes through. You can see this is 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Sunday evening, and that stretches to the east into New England through 3 and 4 a.m. on Monday morning. Unfortunately, it clears pretty quickly, though. It looks like some of the Outer Banks here could actually see some rain, too. Let's just back that up. So as we head throughout the evening hours into the overnight, look at some of these returns here around the Outer Banks, eastern North Carolina, and South Carolina as well. That's some great news. Look at this smattering off the U.S. East Coast. That's with this potential tropical system that's not really at this point likely to form. Here is Rafael as we continue through the rest of your Sunday. Look at that. It's just spinning up showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. But look at this. Yeah, this storm's going to be pretty much on its way out as we head throughout the week. It's going to continue to spread some showers and thunderstorms from the Panhandle of Florida, coastal southeast Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and South Georgia as well. And picking up here where our future radar left off, as we continue throughout the week, you can see high pressure builds into much of the east here. the northeast, southeast Canada. That's going to help a return flow of tropical moisture here across the north central Gulf of Mexico into the plain states. So we're going to see more rain for areas that unfortunately do not need it. And that spreads to the east here towards Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky as we head throughout the 14th. So as we're heading right towards Thursday into Friday, we do start to see evidence that the Carolinas could get on the act of some of this, heavier rain. Especially eastern North Carolina and coastal South Carolina. That's where you've been dry. Unfortunately, it looks like it swings to the south here and misses a lot of the Outer Banks region, though, so that's not good news. Hopefully, we can get that to Pinwheel, maybe just a little bit further to the north. That moves out to sea there, and it looks kind of tropical in nature. That's kind of strange. But then as we head towards the 18th, we do see a big coast or a big front here blasting through the Ohio Valley into the Great Lakes. This could be our push of coldest air we've seen so far this season. And then as we head through the 19th here, we can see these southern systems across the southern plains really ramping up here. Total liquid equivalent precipitation amounts here on our European model. You can see from rain all the way up to Mississippi and Ohio River valleys as we continue through the rest of your Sunday and Sunday night. Gulf Coast, north central Gulf Coast with what's left of Rafael trying to spin feeder bands northward there, but no landfall. But look at this. Yeah, this is a lot of rain. Even some beneficial rain up here into parts of the Northeast. Not enough to put any dent in the dryness, but at least we could see some areas get up to a third, a half an inch. So look at the Ohio Valley, though. Some areas could approach 3/4 to 1 inch, but the big story is going to be down here along the Gulf Coast, even up to South Carolina, Tennessee, these areas, western Kentucky, all the way down to southeastern Louisiana, the Panhandle of Florida. We could be talking about amounts of 2.5 to as much as 5 inches of rain. And taking a look at our Canadian weather forecast, it's been quiet as of late, with the exception for southern Ontario and Quebec. You're going to see a double barrel low pressure system here. That is some great news. That'll bring some beneficial rains. Also watching British Columbia here with that Pacific system cranking off the coast to 986 millibar low. You see this low moves out pretty quickly by the 12th, though. Canada's looking pretty quiet with this high pressure. We do have a low up here in northern Saskatchewan and some showers and mountain snow along the British Columbia coastline here. So as we go out here, the only weather we're going to be talking about middle to latter part of this week into the 13th and the 14th is that Pacific system. We'll have a series of systems that ride up across Saskatchewan, Manitoba, up to Hudson Bay. But for the most part, southeast Canada will remain dry and very, very quiet. Lots of sun until about the 15th here. Later on this week, we're going to start to see this coastal system start to affect New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and eventually, most likely, Newfoundland here. You can see getting in on the act as this low pressure starts to barrel north here. We do see another area of low pressure across southern Ontario and more Pacific moisture plowing right into British Columbia with that valley rain and mountain snow. And that low pressure moves across eastern Quebec into Newfoundland here. And then as we head through the middle to latter part of the month here towards the 19th, you can see, look at our Pacific systems, just one right after another, a 978 millibar low. And your Canadian rainfall amounts here, yeah, it's going to be big time out west here with British Columbia, mountain snow valley rain. We could be talking about 150 to 250 millimeters total liquid equivalent. You're getting up towards 5 to as much as 8-9 inches of rainfall. But look at southeast Canada here towards Newfoundland, New Brunswick, these areas, eastern Quebec in particular. We could see 40 to as much as close to 100 millimeters there the further east you go. Most areas getting about 3/4 to 1 inch, but some areas could approach 2 to 3.5 inches. And before we continue with more weather, check out these awesome, amazing maps that you won't find anywhere else.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
And temperature-wise here, we're just going to continue through the week here. You can see lots of 50s and 60s up here through the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, 70s, and even some 80s along the Gulf Coast. Since we head into Tuesday, November 12th here, look at this. Yeah, we're just continuing a little bit cooler here to the north, but this is still well above average. Upper 40s to right around 50. 50s throughout the Ohio Valley, and the warm spot, of course, continues to be the Gulf Coast region, where we're going to continue into Wednesday here. Look at this, a moderating trend with mid-50s. It almost seems like winter just does not want to come here. Wintry conditions are pretty much void across much of the country except for the mountains out west here. So look at that, 50s continue. And then as we continue through the end of the week here for Friday, November 15th, yeah, it's just more 50s up here, even some 60s and some 70s down here along the Gulf Coast. The extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Susquehanna, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. We take a look ahead here. Yeah, we're going to have that shower prospect, end Sunday night. So we'll just have a chance of showers on Monday. Look at that, up north near 60. Tuesday and Wednesday, it's a little cooler, right around upper 40s. Lower 50s, but then look at that towards the middle of the week. We get towards Thursday, a chance of showers again, but then we start to moderate it a little bit towards Friday with more sunshine. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.